All right. We are back again with another episode. And today I have someone that I do not know too well, but I'm very excited to get to know a little bit deeper. Name is Jake Huddleston. He's the owner of CrossFit Shakerag. And actually, the first time that I saw the man bun and jacked man himself was at a CrossFit competition when Andy, who y'all know, and I met the first time as well. And Jake and Carla ended up beating Andy and Faith. So that was a heck of a time and very interesting to me to kind of meet everyone. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely, dude. I'd kind of like to start. I don't think that our communities, even though I used to be at CrossFit Peachtree City, I don't think our communities cross over as much as I'd assume that they would. Can you kind of walk us through how you even got into the CrossFit space, like pre ownership and pre coaching, just CrossFit in general? Like, how'd you get here?
So, gosh, it's like 10 years ago. I was in college and I was home for the summer. And my buddy is like, "Hey, you want to come work?" He was a teacher at Whitewater High School. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to come work out with me? I'm going to work out at the school gym with a buddy of mine." I was like, "Sure." I'd just gotten back into fitness and doing anything because I had gotten really out of shape after high school. I was a wrestler. And when wrestling season was over my senior year, I was like, "I'm never doing physical activity again. And I'm eating whatever I want
Mhm.
because I've starved myself and worked my butt off for 7 years." And then I got fat really fast and decided I might need to do something. So I started getting back into shape, just normal bodybuilding stuff,
Mhm.
some running and eating in a huge calorie deficit because of wrestling. That's the only way I actually knew how to control my weight at the time. Got down to like 145, was super small for me. But then, so Dustin calls me one day in the summer. He's like, "Hey, you want to come work out with us?" I was like, "Yeah." So I go up to school and this guy's there. His name's Dennis Bergeron. He was another teacher at the school, and he was like, "We're gonna do some CrossFit today." I'm like, "What is this?" So he did like it was not even like a CrossFit workout, but it was like CrossFit. It was like an
Mhm.
EMOM. I think it was like a 10-minute EMOM of one push press every minute, building up heavier and heavier. Like that was the workout we did, and I think we did some other stuff after, but like that was the CrossFit we did. It was like the most dumbed down version of CrossFit you can
Mhm.
think of. But I was like, that was kind of fun. So I looked it up, and then I was like at a Globo gym at the time, and I would do like Fran in the squat rack, or
Oh
I
my
remember trying to
goodness.
I remember trying to overhead squat 95 pounds with no coaching, and my grip's like super narrow in here, and like I'm crumbling, and people are probably looking at me like I'm an idiot. And it took years to figure that out, that your hands go wider. So that was cool. But that's how it started. And then I went back to college, and when I was in college, I was like, well, there's a CrossFit gym in town, so I went there. It was expensive at the time, so I talked to the owner and was like, "Hey, like, is there any way I could like do something around here, start coaching or like learn to coach, like anything?" And he let me actually start kind of coaching. Went and got my O1, and that's that's how the coaching started and how I got into it. So that was looking back, that was a long time ago, and it was a really cool experience to. I was in the phys ed program at West Georgia at the time, and so that was it. Kind of like it helped a lot, like being a phys
Mhm.
ed teacher and going and
Mhm.
teaching and coaching and stuff kids, and then you go into the CrossFit gym, and we had other young people, that were in there coaching as well,
Mhm.
and I felt like I kind of got to hang on things a little bit better and a little bit faster than everyone else because I was also going in schools at the same time and teaching kids. So I just got more exposure to being in front of people and teaching, and that's what CrossFit is, or being a CrossFit coach is just like it's the same as being a PE teacher. It's teaching and coaching. It's just the same
Yeah.
principles.
Kind of blocking and tackling from the bottom up and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
basics, fundamentals, day in, day out. Now,
absolutely.
did you when you so what gym was it at? You said you were at West Georgia?
Yeah, I was at CrossFit Carrollton.
Okay, CrossFit Carrollton. I forget where
Yeah,
West Georgia is. That makes more sense.
yeah.
Um,
Kelsey Williams is the owner now. So
okay.
the owner then was Aaron Stice, and I worked for him. Ended up leaving and going to another gym that opened in West Georgia. It's been a whole thing over there. I don't know what's went on, drama, whatever. I don't know what the heck happened. And then down the road, Kelsey, she's super cool. I used to work out with her at Carrollton,
Mhm.
and she ended up eventually being able to get her hands on it and buy it, and is doing, from what I can tell, like a great job. I think she might have actually made semis this year, or really close to making
Oh
semis.
wow.
Like she's become a pretty phenomenal athlete, and runs a really good gym out of there now. So it's super cool to see that place doing well
Mhm.
now.
kind of the inception of where you came in on the scene, and it's still alive and still thriving. That's probably a good feeling. Now, did you I mean, so you were in undergrad at the time at West Georgia, and you were going and basically doing like the internship year, like where you have classes and then you also have practicals and like that kind of thing, or
Yeah, so when I first started CrossFit, I think I was in my I was still taking normal classes for my phys ed classes, and I was doing some practicum teaching. So we would go in like once or twice a week. It wasn't full on student teaching yet, so we would go on and do like twice a week. I would go to like elementary school one day and then like a middle school one day, and we'd do like maybe an hour or two there teaching. So it wasn't the full on student teaching experience where you're there all day like you're a real teacher, but we were doing that. And then my final year or final semester there, obviously I was student teaching. I student taught at Heard County Middle School, and then would come back to Carrollton and coach in the afternoon.
Yeah. Where's Heard County in relation to Carrollton?
Oh gosh, it is west. Yeah, it's west, like almost Alabama. So it's like between Carrollton, LaGrange, and Noonan. It's kind of like up in the corner.
Oh goodness. So
middle
driving a good bit. And so you were student teaching, and then at that point you were student teaching and then also coaching CrossFit every day, every couple days?
Oh, gosh, I can't even remember. It's been so long. I probably wasn't doing it every day. I was probably doing, every other day or something like that. So it was a good time. And I think I would do a lot of weekend classes. I remember when I graduated, this is funny. So when I graduated college, my actual college graduation day, that Saturday, I showed up at the gym and I'm like coaching a class, and all the girls, they were all like my moms. They're like, moms and sisters to me. And they all walk in and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're missing your graduation." I'm like, "I'd rather be here." And they're like, "You need to go to your graduation." I'm like, "It's too late. Like, I'm not going. Like, I would much rather be here, like hanging out with y'all, coaching a class than go sit through a graduation ceremony that, like, honestly, like didn't mean a whole lot to me. I was just the guy that I was like, I've got the diploma. Sweet. Like, let's move on.
I mean, was that kind of what college was from inception for you? Like kind of just, hey, I'm going to go check a box because that's what everyone does? Or
absolutely. To be honest, I'm glad I did it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm really glad I learned a lot. And I think, again, my degree, my phys ed degree, I think is, if anybody was going to be a CrossFit coach and they wanted to go to college, I would say it's one of the best degrees you can get, because you do, biomechanics, you do motor behavior, exercise physiology, anatomy, all these classes that relate to what we do in CrossFit and how the human body works. And you also take all these classes that are how to coach and how to teach someone, progressions and things like that. So you learn these things that are really valuable in the CrossFit space. But I went in with the mindset of like, I don't want to be here. My parents basically made me go to college. They're like, "You're going," and I'm like, "Okay." And so like, I didn't care my first 2 years. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I made like almost all C's and got a degree in general studies from Gordon, at JUCO, and then transferred to West Georgia. And then once I transferred there and actually was like, okay, like this phys ed stuff's pretty fun. Like, I enjoy doing this. I made really good grades after that, like brought my GPA way up, and but it was fun. You're actually interested in what you're doing at that point, and you can see it going somewhere. And once I graduated, I did actually use the degree. I taught for 3 years. And so, until I got the chance to open the gym. So that was cool. Like, and I didn't hate teaching. One school I was at, I didn't necessarily love, but the second school I was at, man, awesome school system. I actually ended up back at Heard County where I student taught at. And that was an amazing school system. It's out in the middle of nowhere. They're a little small, like 2A school, real country. It's actually, I think they're a Title IX, like, I think it's what's called Title IX or whatever it is, the low income school. But they really use their funding incredibly well, and way better than most schools do that have that. And their kids really succeed. Their sports teams are phenomenal. I mean, they take so much pride in their sports. Like, that's actually what they brought me in for, was to be a middle school wrestling coach and strength and conditioning coach. So I was doing strength and conditioning work with the middle schoolers, so that when they got to high school, they didn't have to learn how to clean and didn't have to learn how to squat. So they could walk in the doors at high school and already know and be rolling.
Damn. Okay. So you were starting them early, kind of like Coach Munoz tried to do with us over at JC Booth Middle School, but wasn't too successful. We were just doing chest flies and like what are those knockoff? They're basically like knockoff Smith machines. It's basically a chest press, right? Yeah. But it's a hinge. I don't know what they're called, but World Gym has them too, and they are atrocious. And that was our strength and conditioning 0 period in 7th and 8th grade. And so, dude, how did so you get over there and you're student teaching, right? You get out of student teaching, right? You're now jumping schools. Had you already started competing in CrossFit at that point?
Yeah, so I had done like small comp. I've always done just like small
Mm-hmm.
local comps. Usually I'm talked into it. Usually it's like
Mm-hmm.
someone's like, "Hey, you should do this." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll go do it with you." Like it's usually that. I've not been one to like go out and find a lot of comps on my own to do, but
Mm-hmm.
usually someone's like, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, looks good." I've actually gotten more as I've gotten older. I'm now the one that like, "Hey, let's go do this competition. It
Mm-hmm.
looks fun." Or like, "Hey, there's $1,000 prize on this one. Let's go see if we can win it." That kind of stuff. Like that's more where I'm at now. But yeah, when I was young, I think I was like super timid. Like I didn't want to. I I probably had a big confidence problem when I was younger. I worked out with some really fit dudes
Mm-hmm.
back at West Georgia, and like they would smoke me all the time in class workouts, and then I just didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't think I was that good, and I think when I kind of started figuring out I was like, and by no means am I like a phenomenal CrossFit athlete. I'm like above average probably, but like I started figuring out I was a little bit better when um like the open would roll around, and then those dudes that were beating me in class workouts, like I would compete with them in the open workouts, and I would beat them in some of them. And I think I even finished like the highest in the gym one year back then, and I was like, maybe I'm more fit than I think I am. Like maybe I'm just kind of it's my head is getting in my way.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, let's back up. How'd you do in wrestling in high school?
Um, Wrestling. So I was a four-time state qualifier, and I took third my senior year. So
Okay.
I
So
was again, just I tell everybody my life is like I am the guy that has been very good at a lot of things, but never great at anything.
mm,
I've always been like right on the cusp of being really good, really good at something,
mhm.
but I never can break through. And but it's cool to be like really good at a lot of stuff, I guess. Um,
Yeah. But dude, is it that you never have been able to, or it's that you perhaps are in a position where you want to do more than just one thing forever? And so you haven't necessarily pushed yourself to the end in all of them.
I don't know. I've thought about that. I went pretty hard in wrestling. Definitely was something that I didn't work hard enough in, and I know that. I look back at that and I'm like, man, I could have been a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah. What weight
But
class were you wrestling at in high school?
my senior year I was 140. Freshman year I was 119. So I wrestled anywhere from
Okay.
119 to 140. So little, very
Yeah.
little.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just with wrestling, I definitely look back on that, and I think did not work nearly as hard as I should have. Wrestling
Mhm.
season, I would work hard during the season. Like when the season was on, man, like I went to practice, I would drill as hard as anyone or work harder than anyone in the room. But when the season was over, I was like, okay, cool, I'm done till next year. Like if we had a summer camp, I would go and do stuff, but I was never one to go search out like extra training outside of,
Mhm.
oh, excuse me, outside of what we would do um, with the team, which definitely held me back. I think if I had worked harder in that aspect, went and done more, I could have been a much better wrestler. Um, and I think that drove me in other things to be better. I think with CrossFit, I think 3 years ago was probably my best year of CrossFit, and I was working hard that year. I was doing 3 hours a day probably, and you know, I gave it my all, and I think I was finished like three. It's when they had North America as one quarterfinal instead of split in half. So I think I finished like 300th in the North American quarterfinal, and man, I gave it my all. So it's one of those like it is what it is. Maybe I'm just not meant to be that guy, and I think maybe I'm meant to be a better coach or programmer than I am an athlete. And that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. It's just I still train hard because I enjoy it. Like now I get to train hard because I enjoy it, not necessarily because I want to be amazing. If I end up being good or having a good year, then great. But I think investing into other people has been very fun. Like we were talking about Sydney and seeing her succeed and seeing like
Mhm.
the little amount that I've done with her already and seeing how good she's gotten, that's a huge confident boost for not only her, but for me as a coach,
Mhm.
to see what she's able to do. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And I mean, you said 3 years ago is when you finished like top 300 when it was North America.
Yeah, I think actually the next year I was not as fit. I think I just got really lucky with the programming because I finished in about the same spot. And I remember being like, I'm not in good shape.
Yeah.
I think I just got very lucky in what the workouts were. They just kind of fit in my wheelhouse.
But okay. But the year that you literally gave it your all, like you were grinding in the gym, obviously you were still coaching, still running the gym, what have you. I mean, do you look back on that time and are you confident that you did everything that you could?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only thing maybe I could have done more was eat. Is eat more. I lost a crap ton of weight. I think
Yeah.
that might have been if I look back and was going to change something, it'd be like, dude, like eat another 1,000 calories a day, and maybe that would have made the difference. But
Yeah. Did you just get super lean while you were doing
oh
that much
yeah,
work?
yeah, I was down to like 160 pounds,
And what do you weigh right now?
172,
Okay.
and I'm only
So
5'5". So I mean, it's
yeah, well, a 12-pound difference, dude. I mean, we're talking about like pound for pound. Then how much stronger do you have to be really to throw 200 pounds over your head consistently?
Yeah, I got smashed that year
Repetitively.
by the which one was it? The burpee, not burpee, the wall ball row workout. The wall ball row workout just decimated me. Like I got done with that workout and was like, dude, like I crushed that. Like I gave it all I had. And then like the scores start rolling in and I'm like,
You're like,
okay, I just suck at rowing. I'm like, what do I
well,
do?
I would say you're maybe you're mechanically misaligned for the rower, if I really had to guess.
Definitely wasn't a great workout for short people, but I mean, what do you do? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the other workouts were greater for small guys. So,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is.
What do you think I mean, maybe it's size, maybe it's skill. What do you think your best movement or your best couplet or your best chipper? Like what movements, if it was like, yo, it's my day, what would you put in there?
Oh, I mean, if you just wanted me to like race and beat somebody, Fran. I mean,
Just straight up.
yeah, Fran's. I think that's my one claim to CrossFit fame is that I think it was like 3 years ago. Dave Castro reposted my Fran. I think I did it in 154.
Jeez,
So
dude.
he reposted that, and that was cool. And it was cool to be in the limelight and see like all the stuff all the like games athletes deal with, of like,
People just ripping you.
oh yeah, they're like, those are no reps, those don't count. And then like the coolest part is like you had like Josh Bridges actually. There was 2 or 3, maybe more than that, like X Games athletes and stuff that came on there and they're like, you do it. They were like, they had my back. So that was really freaking cool to see like these guys come up and just be like, dude, like, nah, like you do it. Like if you're gonna talk all this crap, you do it. Should send us a video.
Did Hiller come for your throat when you did it?
No, this was before Hiller. This was before Hiller probably would have ripped me apart. And here's the thing, like I look back at the video, I'm like, yeah, some of those are probably no reps, but like you're doing
like an elbow lockout, or what are we talking?
You
had to guess.
Probably hip crease below the knee on the squats. I was just ripping.
Just flying. Going as fast as you can.
Oh yeah, like I'm yanking the bar. There might have been some elbow lockout, but the angle you were at, you would never know. Like it was a side angle, so you couldn't really tell if they were. I mean,
you could see the inside of your elbow, and you're like, well, that looks high enough.
Yeah, I forget what happened that day. I was really angry. Something made me mad that day. I forget, something really pissed me off. I can't remember what it was. And I walked in the gym, and I was just like, I'm doing Fran, and I'm gonna sell out. And I remember just going as fast as I could.
That's funny, man. So
the pull-ups were legit though. None of the pull-ups they were all legit.
I'd have to imagine that you can just sit on butterflies all day.
Yeah, that's one of my strong suits. I've always been pretty good at those. Pull-ups are pretty easy. I got short arms. I'll just widen my grip out and just flow.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're flying. Now, from the time that you were coaching at those other 2 gyms, and were you already at Shakerag by the time that you were at the Henry County School when you were doing strength and conditioning, or were you still at another gym?
No. So I actually okay, so I went from Heard County. Once I was there, I was living in Coweta County. So I moved down to Coweta because I taught a year in, sorry, this is all over the place. I taught a year in Troup County after I graduated.
Okay.
So I moved to Coweta because I didn't want to move all the way to Troup because I knew nobody. So I moved in with a buddy in Coweta. It was like a 30-minute drive for me to work. So I would drive there. Next year I ended up in Heard County, which luckily from Coweta County was about a 30-minute drive. So not bad. But while I was in Coweta, I worked out at CrossFit Coweta. And I worked out there for probably 3 years. And then that's when someone approached me. Was like, hey, I want to open a CrossFit gym. I've got a space. I need a coach. I need somebody to run this. I need somebody to be the head coach and all that. And my answer was, well, I have a very stable job and I'm not a risk taker. So if you can pay me my teacher salary, I'm in. And they're like, okay. So they did that, and we opened the gym like literally, I think a month after school got out that year. So we opened it then, and I've been here ever since. I ran it with the ex-owners for I think 3-4 years, and then they ended up approaching me and saying, "Hey, we want to sell it, and we want you to buy it if anybody's going to buy it." And so I was like, "All right." So I bought it from them, and I guess I've owned it for probably 3 years now.
Okay. So the gym Shakerag has been around for like 7, roughly.
Yeah, since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So yeah,
6,
like
7.
right at like in the 6s somewhere.
Mhm.
And I mean, did you like going through that? Did you know how to run a gym? Did you know leadership? Did you know sales? Did you know marketing? Like, or were you
No.
just the coach on the onset, or?
Yeah, so I was a coach. Like that's what I do. So everything else was like learning on the fly. Like I was a coach and didn't know anything else. And I'm still not like I won't say I am a phenomenal gym owner or gym, like I'm good at, I know my role. So that's the best thing I can say is like for anybody opening a gym is know your role and find someone that can do the stuff that you can't do or don't want to do. So I have a manager here, and if it wasn't for her, we would not be in business. So she's awesome. Her name's Hope Morgan. She's phenomenal. She basically keeps the place afloat. She does our finances, does our she does a lot of stuff with the clients. Like they have questions, they usually go to her. They're like, "Hey, Hope." They drive her crazy sometimes, I think, but they're always going to her, asking her questions and stuff like that, and which is nice because they leave me alone. But yeah, that's the best advice I could ever give anyone is hire managers that can do the things you are not great at, and but know what you're good at and know where your value is. And I think for me, being a coach was something that there was definitely I needed to be doing. And I think even more so than that, I think we found out when I actually took over our programming, we stopped paying for it, which, I don't know how other gyms do things, but I mean, a lot of gyms, pay for programming, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But we found that when I was able to put that like personal touch on it, like we kind of started to explode. Like we really have took off since I started doing the programming. I think it just for us people like I'm able to program what our people need and what our people are wanting to do and what they what's going to make them better. And I think they genuinely know like that I have their best interest in mind. And I'm not pulling something from somebody in another state or some random dude that's just writing this. So it's coming from me. I watch them move every day. I mean, I just looked over our open workouts and I was able to look and say, hey, like, where's our gym week as a whole? And so now I can, over the next year, like I can program to fill those holes.
Fill some gaps there. Are you still the head coach?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do programming, you still coach a decent bit, or you on the floor a ton
Oh,
still?
yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I still coach a good bit. Typically I'm doing, how much do I do? So I usually have morning coaches. I hate waking up early. So I have two or three girls. They coach our 5:30, 6:30 classes in the morning. And then I usually come in around 9 and I usually do the rest of the day. So I do a 9:30, 12:30, 4:30, 5:30, or 4:30, 5:45. So about 4 classes a day.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of bouncing around. Now,
yeah.
when you jumped into, you said earlier you're not a risk taker, right? And to outsource the things that you don't want to do. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious, right? When you got approached to buy the gym, like what initially was going through your head?
Well, that was at that point I was like, I have to do this because number one, I did not want to go back into teaching. So, and not that there's any, like if I had to go back into teaching, I would. There's definitely like nothing wrong with it. I did enjoy it, but I loved what I was doing here and I just didn't want to give this up. 2, I built a community here, like, and a family here, and I couldn't let them down. Like the worst thing ever for me would have been to close the gym, and we probably had 50 members at the time, and I couldn't, like, I didn't want to disappoint them. Like I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, and like that would have broke my heart to take this away from them. So I was like, I have to buy it or this place isn't going to exist. And it's not, or at least it's not going to exist in the way it does now. And I can't do that.
Yeah. Or at least can't be a part of it if it's going to go a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you're not a risk taker. So like how how did you work through that? Like I get that you were like, yo, this has to happen no matter what. But like, how did you mentally work through that?
I don't know. I just did it. I mean, I guess like I'm not gonna be like a calculated like I guess I'm a calculated risk taker. Put it that way. Like I also was confident enough that at that point in time that I knew I could make it work. Like I seen the finances, I knew where we were at,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I could continue to grow the business. So I guess it's not much of a risk if you know you can succeed.
Mm. So
Like as before, if
failure
before
literally
you're open,
wasn't an
you,
option at all.
no, no. Like I thought nothing. Like we were already in a stable position. Like we weren't making bank by any means, but we were in a stable position where we were, we're breaking even. And I'm like, okay, like cool. We keep doing what we're doing, and I'm at least not going broke. That's my thought. It's like
Fair.
we keep doing what we're doing, we're at least not going broke. And I'm confident that I can grow this and that I can make it better. Um, and we were able to. I think when I bought the gym, we were probably at 40, 50 members, and we're close to 100 now. So we've almost doubled membership in 3 years.
And
So
I would have to assume your churn is pretty low. Like you don't lose too many members month over month.
no, we used to, but no, and a lot of that's just, I think the environment you create, man, it's really, it's not so much like, and this sounds weird, but it's like, it's not so much like how good of a coach you are. It's not so much how good your programming is. It's the community you create. Like when you create an environment that is positive and people love being there, they could care less. They could care less if they even work out. They just want to walk in the doors and like, hey, there's Joe and there's Billy and there's my friends, and like I'm
Mhm.
going to talk to Jay. Like they want that. They want that community more than anything. And when you really build that, like you're set. Like, and then everything else is icing on the cake. And then when you give them the results and you give them great programming and you give them great coaching, like you're set.
Yeah. No, and it seems like, I've been in your gym now once, coming up on maybe 2 or 3 times here coming up soon. And I mean, it seems like a pretty solid CrossFit community in the sense of what CrossFit I think was intended for, which
Mm-hmm.
is that community, which is not like, hey, let me scream at you in the middle of a partner workout because you're not moving fast enough across the room because I'm pissed off that we're not beating them. Like, I don't get that vibe from your gym, and I could be totally off, and y'all could have hit it 100% when James walked in the other day, and that could be that. But I don't think that that's the truth. I think that really what I saw was a community of people in Peachtree City, which is also hard to do with the wild amount of competition from
Mm-hmm.
every other gym out there, right? In Peachtree City,
Yeah.
there's a ton of places to go. But I mean, it seems like people really feel at home and they don't feel judged.
No, I think that's that you're talking about people yelling at each other. I think the only people that yell at each other are our spouses. So our
Yeah.
like husband wife couples, they're always fun to watch. They start bickering. That's always fun. Hope, one of our managers, she won't work out with her husband anymore. It always makes me laugh. They get into fights. That's always like my pleasure for the year is like the once or twice that they have to work out together, and I just sit there and watch, and I laugh the whole time. And they're just like, ah. They made him do synchro wall balls one time, and like Josh is really slow, like on his wall
Oh
balls. He
my
just like catches
goodness.
it and just like, and she's like sitting at the bottom of a squat, just like holding the ball, like waiting on him to get down. And I'm cracking up so bad. So that's off topic, but that's fun. That's that.
No,
But
that
that
is
kind of
funny.
describes us, man. Like we just want to have a good time. Like we're super like we pick at each other so much and like joke with each other, and like our front door is really hard to see through, especially if the sunlight's coming through. So like all the time, like it probably happens once or twice a day. Somebody will stand behind that door, and like if somebody's coming up to the door, like and the door opens, they're just like, ah, and just scare them.
Yeah.
Like that's us in a nutshell. Like we're just here to have a freaking good time, man. And I think again, like the icing on the cake is being able to get results, and I think that's a big thing for me um, is giving people what they want. I think that also makes them come back. When they can come in and see improvement day after day.
Yeah. And I mean, when you say results, are you talking about hypertrophy? Are we talking about body composition? Are we talking about habits? Are you talking about just lifts? Like, where do you think you provide most value to the people that are in your gym, results wise?
So my goal is to provide them whatever they want. I think that's any good business or any is
Mm-hmm.
to provide them whatever they want. And that's kind of a vague answer, but I think that is the beauty of
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit is that it can do that. if you want to get bigger and you have that discussion with somebody, it's like, hey, I want to gain muscle. Okay, well, you keep doing CrossFit, keep doing our class workouts. We just need to slightly increase your calorie intake. And you're probably going to see that. Hey, the other person, they want to lose weight. Like, okay, let's get your nutrition dialed in. Let's cut your calories back a little bit, but you keep showing up and doing CrossFit, and you're going to lose weight. We have people here that want to be competitive, and it's like we take our class workouts and they do them. Our class workouts are set up in a way that it really doesn't matter if you're a competitive athlete or you're my 80-year-old grandmother who comes in, by the way, and still does the same thing. It doesn't matter. Like that was my intention, was to set up like kind of what the heart of CrossFit was here. And I think a lot of gyms are missing that. They kind of just do, they put their workouts at this kind of in between level or even lower level of like, we don't want to scare anybody off. We don't want to intimidate everybody. And my mindset was like, no, screw that. No, like I want it to be hard. I want it to be challenging. And guess what? You can modify and you can scale things to fit people, but I don't want to leave somebody out because they're good. Like I don't want somebody to not get a workout because they can do muscle ups or because they can clean and jerk 300 pounds. Like I don't want them to never touch a heavy barbell on a WOD because other people can't. So I think when you create a program at your gym that allows for everyone to succeed and grow, that is hugely important.
Yeah. And so when you say that, for those that are listening to this that don't know, usually CrossFit, you've got your RX, you've got your scaled, and you got your RX plus. I mean, with MAD, do you follow that same type of thing? RX across the board is difficult for the majority. Like, how are you programming for, like, what percentage? Because I know that every gym does this different, and every program that people grab from some other state and plug into their stuff also does it different.
Yeah, so we do basically that. So we have, we call it comp. So like comp is like the RX plus, then we have RX, and we have masters after that. And so in my head, what I'm doing is looking at our particular athletes. So I'm looking at our quarterfinal athletes. I've had a couple of semifinal athletes in the past. So I'm looking at those people and I'm like writing the workout based on them. So I'm like, okay, what's going to challenge them? What's going to get them the stimulus I'm looking for? Okay, now let's look at the other, like the upper 50% of the gym, like that can RX the workouts. Okay, how do I need to make them get the same stimulus as my quarterfinal athletes? Okay, well, what weight do they need? Do they need to do less pull-ups than they other people were doing? Do they need to do less muscle ups? Do I need to change the movement altogether? And then I go down to the masters, and I've got probably 10 or so masters athletes that in my head I'm thinking of, okay, now how do I get those guys to be doing the same stimulus as the RX and the comp guys? I'm thinking, so how do I get that? And I think the great thing about having those three levels is it really gives people somewhere to fit in versus like old school CrossFit was like, here's just RX. And you can RX up if you want to, or you can scale, and it just gave, I think giving more options, is good there because it just allows people to feel a little bit more. And you have people, it's cool. They come in and they like, I have some of my masters guys that are like, hey, I can RX and get the stimulus today. And they do that. Or I have guys that are RXers and they come in every once in a while. Like I've got a guy that's super freaking strong. He's an RX guy for sure, but he is like top level strength. Like I think he has a 340 clean. Yeah, he's a really strong dude. So he's got
RX athlete with a 340 clean that's not competitive. That's pretty strong.
So he's a big guy, and so his gymnastics and motor aren't the greatest. So, and he'll admit that. He knows. But
top in on the strength though.
Top in on the strength. So if you throw like say heavy Grace in one day and you're doing Grace at 165, it's like, all right, dude, you're doing comp today. You're doing heavy Grace instead of 135 Grace. So, and that kind of gives those guys something to shoot for every once in a while. And, on the other end of the spectrum, you have some guys that just don't have the strength to hit that like comp button every once in a while or check that comp box. But like you throw a heavy high skill gymnastic or something like that, and they're like, oh man, like I can do comp today. And so it's cool for people to be able to build that confidence every once in a while and jump into something. Our masters guys do it too. A lot of them are like they're masters like 90% of the time, and then they'll see one and they're like, well, I can RX that and get the right stimulus. So yeah. And then of course you can do anything in between.
Yeah, always. I mean, you could do everything as written and then drop the weight 20 pounds, right? Or everything as written and like, ooh, my shoulders are feeling a little bit spicy today. Maybe no butterfly, maybe just strict. Does it change the stimuli? Sure, right? But can you do that? For sure.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think that's the thing, is give them options so they can fit in one of those boxes and check one of those boxes and feel good about it. And then like on the days they can't, that's okay. They can modify as needed and still get a good workout in.
Yeah. And when you say check those boxes, you talking about like sugar water, Waterfy, where you can click
Yeah.
which you're on?
Yeah. I think it's just a big confidence thing for guys. And I think they enjoy that. I think people enjoy to be able to be like, like I RX this today, or they feel a certain amount of pride by being able to RX the workouts, and whether it's right or wrong, some people have opinions about that, but I think it's cool. I think it's good to feel good about what you've done in the gym, and to be able to click that, as long as you're not letting it like ruin your day when you like don't RX or don't do comp, or you're not getting stuck in that, like, I have to RX this. And then you're like 14 minutes behind everyone else in the class. And they're like, bro, like, we got to go. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, on that note, how do you as a coach and how do y'all as a gym deal with ego lifting and deal with those people that are like, no, I have to? Like, how do you deal with that? Because a lot of gyms don't deal with that well.
I don't know how we've dealt with it, because we really haven't had too much of an issue with it, I would say. Maybe it's the programming, maybe it's the way like that I set up our strength work and stuff like that. And when we're doing it, we do percentages and things like that. And I get on people about that. Like, I'm doing the math in my head, like, cause I know a lot of their maxes, and I'm looking at the bar sometimes. I'm like, hey bro, I'm like, that's not 70% for you, is it? And they're like, oh, I thought it could go a little hit. I'm like, no, like, stay at your 70. Like, I wrote that percentage for a reason. Stay at that number. Or if it's like a max lift day or a heavy, like a 3-rep max or something, and you see it and you just see form degrading, it's like, hey, you just walk up to him and say, hey dude, like, let's leave it be for the day. And I've really never had anybody push back. They're usually like, okay, like, yeah, you're right. Like, they know, like, you just need to say something, and they know, they just needed you to call them out on it, and you don't have to do it in a mean way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's almost like the culture, like of kind of the staff in general, maybe from ownership to all the, your morning coaches and everyone in between, has kind of trained people to understand that the culture is this way, that, hey, we're here to get better and progress for whatever that means for you. But we're not here to break your back out. And we're not here to not be able to walk next week because you decided to go 85% when I said 65 on everything. Right. So it's a different kind of, it's not hyper competitive for the sake of competition.
Right. And I think you can, if you do a good job of like explaining to people, like, there's purpose behind what you're doing, they understand that by going lighter, they might get better. If you can explain that to them and show that. I think one of the things that I've done this year that I've never done in the past is I actually wrote out like our 2023 game plans, what I called it. So it has all of our cycles for the entire year, what they're about, why we're doing them, written out. So like things like that you can give to people to see, and now they know, like, oh, Jake's not just pulling stuff out his butt. Like, it's like there's thought that goes into what we're doing, why we're doing this. Like, there's basic strength and conditioning principles that I'm using to progress people and to make them better. It's not just the normal constantly varied, which people take as constantly random, which is not right. It's like people think CrossFit is just random stuff, and it's like, it can be, but should it be? No. Like, there should be a progression. There should be like, we should be looking at things and how they're going to improve upon each other day after day.
Yeah. And I mean, with that, I found with compliance with my own clients, I mean, legitimately, if you just give sometimes people the reason behind something, a whole lot more people will pay attention and follow it. Like you said, if you don't explain something, then a lot of people think that it's redundancy or it's stupid or you did just make it up. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Like, some things look stupid, even though they're not. Like I might give you an EMOM, like your handstand push-ups suck. And so I might start you drastically under your capacity and build you up. And on paper, the first day you do this, you're like, well, that was stupid. That was easy. I only had to do 3 handstand push-ups every minute. And it's like, okay, bro, like, yeah, we only did 3. We're building you up. We're starting small, and we're going to work you into something that eventually will be challenging, but it's going to increase your capabilities over time. I don't need you to start week 1 at like, I'm going to die max effort. Like, you're not going to improve from that. So it's like, but on paper and in like a normal person's head that doesn't know that, like, if they do something easy, sometimes they're thinking like, well, that was dumb. Why would I do that? That was easy. It's like, everything doesn't have to kill you. Everything doesn't have to be incredibly difficult for you to get better from it.
Yeah, and in the wise words of Dr. Andy, as we both know, you don't have to snap your CNS in half every single time you walk into the gym, right? You
Exactly.
you do not have to crawl out to the car every day.
No, no, absolutely not. And I think that's a lesson that um, I had to kind of learn the hard way. I think most of us do. I think most of us learn that lesson when we first started in a CrossFit, especially if we're competitive at all. And we see Rich Froning and we see Frazier and we see these guys just running through freaking wall, or what we appear. I don't think they're actually running through walls like we think they are, but what we see on social media, it appears that they are just trashing their bodies and doing 20 workouts a day. But it's like, no, they have the capability to recover from that because they have people there to help them recover and facilitate recovery that you most likely don't have access to. They're sleeping 10 hours a day. You're sleeping 6, bro. Like, it's a different. There's a difference, and people need to understand that.
Yeah, and you're driving through your fast food, which I am also, guilty as charged every now and again. But I'm
Oh yeah.
not eating all of my meals meal prep from a chef. Like I'm
No.
not I'm not doing cryo multiple times a week, doing sauna every day, optimizing the optimally optimal. Like I'm not doing that, dude. It's not my
No.
life. So of course I can't recover like somebody that's their full job. I would hope that they could recover more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fast food's funny. Like we ate, me and Mel, my fiance, her name's Mel.
Mhm,
We finished quarterfinals up and we're like, dude, we got to get out of town. Like
mhm,
we just need a break. So we drove up to the Battery, got a hotel, stayed up there, had fun. Like we never drink. So we went
mhm.
out and we had like 5 drinks apiece. And like, I'm like, dude, how do people do this? I'm dying. Like the next
Yeah.
day felt like crap. And then my buddy Chase, he was one of our quarterfinalists too. Me and him, Mel and Sydney are on a group chat together. And Chase was like, dude, I just got some McDonald's. I'm like, I haven't had McDonald's in 10 years, and neither had Mel. And Mel's like, let's go get McDonald's. It's like, okay. So then we post it in the group chat. And then Sydney's like, sends her picture. She's like, I had to go to McDonald's. So it's like all of us ended up going to McDonald's. But that's not something that we ever, like literally probably been 10 years since I've ate a McDonald's.
Yeah.
So it's like, felt like we kind of earned it. It's okay. It's okay to do it every once in a while. But bro, like, I think that goes to another thing that we could discuss is like how people are like, I don't know. I feel like I hate to use the word like you need to earn something, but like a lot of people I feel like are very quick to be like, oh, I earned that. Like, it's like they go on a diet and they're like, oh, well, I did great this week, so I'm gonna have a cheat meal. I earned it. And it's like, bro, you ain't earned shit yet. Like
Yeah.
1 week, like no, like let's go like 3 months and then you can earn something. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
My views on dieting, I just think people are, I don't know. Diets are,
Just say
I don't
it,
know.
dude. Say it. You can use any word you want on this, and no one on this that's listening to this is going to hold it against you. Go.
Well, I just think like people are way too like they're just way too frivolous with it. Like you have somebody come in that wants to lose 100 pounds,
Mhm,
and look, granted, there's reason. Like they're probably addicted to food, so they're able to like
mhm.
justify in their brain like I did great for a week, so I'm gonna have a cheat meal. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, no, like it's an addiction. It's like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say it's as bad as cigarettes or it's as bad as alcohol or it's as bad, but it is an addiction. Like that addiction to sugar and crappy foods and all this stuff. Like, and if you don't get it out of your system, like if you keep going back to it, like once a week, like, oh, I'm gonna have my cheat meal. I'm gonna have my cheat meal. Chances are within a few months, you're gonna be back to eating it 2 times a week or 3 times or 4 times and not caring. And it just like I don't know. I think people have. I know a lot of people are like, food freedom, kind of. You should be able to eat what you want as long as you're. But it's like a lot of people can't do that. Like they need to get the crap out of their system.
Yeah. But I mean, isn't it the same thing with kind of any addiction? Like I've got friends that could take acid or go get hammered tonight or go do a bunch of shrooms, go do a hero's dose in the dark and be fine tomorrow. But then I also have friends or people that have been in my life at some point that if they did that, they would relapse and never stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you and I may be able to eat a cheeseburger, right? Or go to Chick-fil-A or run through
Yep.
Taco Bell and not love the bathroom for the next few days and be able to go back to normal life. Where some people, they're not able to do that. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's a big misinterpretation on people fat shaming or food shaming or what have you, when legitimately we've got to just be honest that if you don't eliminate before you moderate, you're never going to moderate.
Yep.
Like it's just not going to happen. Like, I don't know who forgot to tell you, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, Mel does nutrition coaching, and that's like one of the things like I see with people. It's just like they have to get that out of their system. Now, like, no, don't get me wrong. There are some people that are like, they're coming in to do nutrition coaching and they're already in shape. Like, they're already in good shape and they're just trying to tweak that last little bit. And with them, like, oh yeah, it's like, hey dude, like, you did great all week. If you want to go have a slice of pizza, like, by all means, like there's a way to get people to a point to teach them how they can do that. You know, it's like I said, like, I went and slammed McDonald's, and I mean, when I ate McDonald's, like, I ate like half the menu at McDonald's. Like, I didn't just eat one thing. I ate like half the menu, which was terrible. But hey, guess what? Like, Monday came around, I'm back on track. I'm eating what I should. I'm working out. Like, I'm doing the things I should. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah. And I think it's also kind of rewiring your pleasure systems, right? Not only just the addiction there or getting to a place where you can prove that you don't need it, but perhaps rewiring how you reward yourself. Like, I don't know about you, but if I feel like the biggest piece of shit bump on a log, if I get a hard workout, whether I do well or not, like if I put myself through some intentional suffering, it changes everything, right? Shit goes the other direction, right? Mind changes completely.
I think for me, that was a big reason why I was never a big drinker. When I was in college, I was doing CrossFit, and I would see these guys go out, and I would just be like, man, like, I just worked my butt off in the gym. I feel like I just wasted that 2 hours of work I just did to like improve. Like, okay, so here's the thing. Like, when I viewed it from an athlete standpoint, if I view it from just a, like, weight loss, like, dude, could I probably work out hard, go drink a few light beers and it not matter? Probably. But I know from a athlete standpoint, that alcohol, like that little bit of alcohol, is not going to facilitate recovery at all. I'm going to feel like crap. It's going to trash my sleep. And like, that's not worth it. So I really never drank a whole lot in college. And even to this day, like I think maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I'll go out and have a few drinks. It's just not something I'm going to do. I don't want to, I don't like doing it I just know the effect is going to make me worse. I feel like.
And the trade-off isn't worth it to you. Like, go out with who? Like, the people that you already hang out with and you work out with, the people that you already go to dinner with, the people that you already spend time with. Like, go do what? Y'all all get drunk? Do y'all really want to do that?
Exactly. And I think me and Hope, my manager, we were talking about that today. I'm like, how I think our CrossFit gym here like differs from a lot of gyms. Is a lot of CrossFit gyms are partiers, man. Like, you've probably seen it. Like, a lot of CrossFit gyms are like, go hard during the workout and then like freaking go hard on the weekend. Like, every weekend they're going ham, slamming beers and just going crazy partying. Dude, we're not like that. Like we get together and have a good time, and you know, some of us will drink a beer here and there and stuff, but like, we're not going and partying and throwing down every weekend. Like, and I think Hope was kind of talking about this. She's like, you know, a lot of it starts from the top. It starts from the example that you are setting. It's like, people come here and they see that we're not doing that, and a lot of that's because of you, because you don't do that. I'm like, well, good. If that's a way I can help and help influence people in a positive way, like, that's great, because I don't have to change anything. That's just me.
Yeah. And it's all voluntary, right? Like, it's all voluntary, excuse me, where they can be here if they want to be, and they can be a part of the culture that's being set, or they can go to a gym that's like less than 2 miles from them, where they will absolutely get smashed after every open workout together at Line Creek, right? Like, that will happen with most other gyms in the area, and especially up here. Dude, we would get done with the open when I was over at CrossFit Brookhaven, and God love all of them, but we would literally get done with the open and go to Kaleidoscope down the street on Dresden, like in Brookhaven, and people would get smashed 45 minutes after everyone just did the open workout. It's like after the announcement, or we would do Friday Night Lights, same thing, right? And then after Saturday 10 a.m. workout, everyone go to brunch. Dude, I mean, the amount of times that I'm having to like, yo, I got onboarding of clients today, I cannot do this because I literally will not recover for 3 days. So gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some people can kind of like, I say they handle it, but some people can kind of handle it like like they can get up the next morning and function fine. Like, I'm not that guy. Like I said, I had 5 beers the other night. I woke up and felt like teetotal crap. I was just driving home. I looked at Mel. I'm like, why do we do that? Like, and it's like, I get it. Like, and I understand why we did it, because me and her went out, and like that's the best time her and I have had in a long time. Just getting out, the two of us, we went to a piano bar and just watched
Heck yeah.
people. Yeah, we watched the little dueling piano thing and just met people and had a good time.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs to do that in some way. And if having a beer here and there loosens you up to be able to do that, like, dude, like, have at it. But as
Right.
long as it's not becoming like a permanent part of your life where you feel the need to do that every day or even every week, like,
Yeah. I mean, different strokes for different folks. You don't really live a lifestyle, it doesn't seem, or the people that you spend time with don't live a lifestyle that seems like that would be conducive to continuing to push forward, right? If you were out there doing that, like, are you going to show up coaching the best that you can?
yeah.
Probably not.
Yes. I mean, on that note, like, one of my best friends here. So I met one of my, his name's Billy. He's one of my he is probably my best friend in the world. And he started here. So funny story how he started. He saw that we had like an ad online on Facebook or something when we opened the gym. So it was like before we even opened. I'm like setting up crap in the gym. I'm like, here one day, cleaning stuff up and everything, getting ready for us to open. And he just rolls in. He's like, hey, he's like, I'm gonna start CrossFit. I'm like, who are you? Like, I've never met you. He's like, my name's Billy Fulton. Introduces himself. I'm like, okay, well, you want to start? It's like, cool. I was like, well, here's our price. He's like, no, I already signed up. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I found the online thing. He's like, I clicked everything. I signed up for the year. I'm like, bro, you don't even know what you're getting into. And like, I'm looking at him like, you are out of shape. Like, all right, cool. Like, in like a weekend, like he about died. Like, I about killed him on like our third or fourth workout. It was like front squats and burpees or something like that. And he's like out in the bushes about to hurl. But through it, he became one of my best friends. And I didn't really know till for a while that he was a big drinker. And I think probably the influence of our gym, like last year, it's been a year, he completely stopped. He cut alcohol out of his life. It's not, he was here for 6 years and still, or 5 years and still drank. And he'll tell you, like, drank too much. He would go home and he would quit for a while or drink less for a while. But he's got to a point now where he's like, man, he's like, I'm done with it. He quit. And for us to be able to have that influence on somebody is like, that is more important even than any weight loss story I can tell you, or any like somebody making it to the games. The amount of pride I have for him is just, and again, it probably is amplified because he's became one of my best friends. But like, that is one of the coolest things that we have accomplished at this gym, in my opinion, is for that. I've had another guy that came in here that had just quit drinking, and he was with us for a long time, and same thing. Like, this has helped him be able to not drink. There's something about doing this that just, it changes people. It changes their brain. I don't know if like you just become addicted to suffering in the gym and like you can replace the alcohol, replace that. But
Yeah.
it's such a cool thing to be able to see this affect people on more than just a, weight loss or competitive level. Like, just the little things like that. Or I say little, that's a huge thing. It's just a different thing.
Just getting off scale wins and out of gym wins for people, like legitimately impacting their lives in ways that maybe you didn't think was going to happen when you started coaching full time and
absolutely
left teaching.
Yeah, never would have in my mind thought like something like that big would have happened or came from us. That influence we have. I never would have imagined that we could have helped somebody do that. Like, I was just messing with him the other day, so I told him, I was like, this is how tight we are. Like, I had a dream the other day. I'm like, Billy, dude, I was so pissed off at you last night. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I had a dream. We went to a Mexican restaurant and you ordered a Dos Equis. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I was so mad at you. He just starts laughing. But it's like the little things like that. And even for him, he knows, like, he's told me, he's like, part of the reason he'll never go back to drinking is because he doesn't want to let people down. He doesn't want to let us down, this community.
There's so much benefit in peer accountability and community, especially around, like, forget if someone's addicted to CrossFit. Okay, I will take that all day over alcohol, over dependence on drugs, pharmaceuticals, etc. Like, I would take that all day. And or not even CrossFit. Maybe it's kettlebells, maybe it's calisthenics, maybe it's gymnastics. Like, I will take it all day over any of that other stuff.
Like, I got to get my fix in. It's like, at the gym, okay, cool. I got to get my fix in. I got to go snort a line. Like, a little different, you know what I mean? Like,
definitely,
actually a lot different.
Yeah, and one of those, it's interesting because you may be good for the first 42 lines. What happens on the 43rd when it's cut with fentanyl? What happens when you go to your 40-second workout and you have a coach? It's like, hey, maybe don't throw that heavy a weight around. Calm it down a little bit. You got to be here tomorrow. Like, what is the risk to reward here? In my mind, it's a hell of a thing to get addicted to, and even with CrossFit having a bad name for injuries, for what have you, on the onset of people that are not in it, right, and they want to blame CrossFit for slap tears and repetitive movements, and like, hold on. How many times did your coach tell you to do mobility? How many times did you do it? Got it. So for 5 years, every single day, they said to stretch, to warm up properly, and what happened? You didn't do it at all. But it's CrossFit's fault.
Oh, my thing with that is it's just like it always cracks me up because we're like, oh, CrossFit. I'm like, here's the thing. Like, we look at CrossFit and we see all these people doing CrossFit, and we're able to easily track how many of them get injured, apparently. But like, how many people go to the Globo gym down the road and just do random crap? They don't know what they're doing and get hurt and then never go back to the gym, but they don't blame anyone. They don't blame the Globo gym. Like, it's not Globo gym workouts that got them hurt. They blame themselves, or they don't blame anyone. They just, but it's like with here, it's because you were in a CrossFit gym. It's like, CrossFit didn't hurt you. The same guy I was talking about, Billy, like, had a massive hip injury.
Mm-hmm.
Never blames it on CrossFit. And he knows, even the doctors were like, dude, like, you were going to have this issue at some point in time. Like, he had his hip joint was shaped like a football instead of like round, apparently. And so it was just wearing away at the labrum. Eventually it was going to go. Like, it wasn't CrossFit's fault. Like, it was going to go at some point, and I think there's a lot of injuries like that get blamed on CrossFit that they're not CrossFit's fault. They're things that were probably going to happen walking down the stairs at some point anyways. Probably more likely than not happen sooner if you hadn't started CrossFit, because you were going to be probably overweight, putting more weight and more stress on the joints over time anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fascinating. I mean, everyone loves to cherry pick, right? Ideologically, right? Oh, yeah, screw Marcus Philly and functional bodybuilding. Oh, Rich Froning sucks. Oh, CrossFit is this. Like, dude, honestly, like, I don't know about you. I know that you're probably, I would have to assume that you're probably leaning more in the direction of CrossFit over other modalities. I mean, I sit in the same bucket for a lot of things. I also love some of the functional bodybuilding, slap back in the middle of it because I'm not trying to compete, right? But for me, honestly, dude, I just want people to find something they can consistently commit to. If that's calisthenics, if that's push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups at your house in between Zoom calls for your remote work, if that's you're a cop and you got to drop down and do 20 in and out of the motor pool, like, dude, it doesn't matter to me really what people are doing, as long as you're doing something.
Dude, movement, just move, just freaking move your body. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Do what you like. If it's CrossFit, great. If it's something else, have at it. Like, like do what's going to keep you motivated. It's that simple.
Whatever's going to keep you on there.
Now, like, if you want to have the debate of like, what's the most effective? Like, of course, like, I run a CrossFit gym. I'm going to say CrossFit. I'm going to say specifically my program because I have something to sell. So I'm going to say, yeah, mine's the best. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. And it always, and I'll say mine's the best, but that also doesn't mean that mine's the best for you. It doesn't mean that mine's the best for that person. Like,
there it is.
My coaching style might not jive with you. Dude, that's okay. Go to the gym down the road where it does work for you. Like, our programming, you might not enjoy it. It's effective if you do it, but you might not enjoy it. Go to where you enjoy it, because that's going to be more effective for you because you're having fun and you're showing up more. Perfectly freaking fine. Like, dude, go. And I think I will say that's one of the differences too about us as a gym that I think I have seen with other gyms is they like badmouth other gyms and like, oh, like, their programming's stupid, or there's this. And it's like, no, like, I'm never going to sit here and say like one of our competitor gyms is dumb. Like, no, like, go try them. If somebody walks in and they're like, want to try other gyms, by all means, like, dude, I recommend go try. I think there's like 5 gyms around here within like a few miles. Go try them all. Go try them all. And if you like us, come back. We'll sign you up. Because guess what? If you try them all and then you come back and because you liked us the best, you are going to be a freaking awesome member because you understand the value of what you're getting from us, number one. And number two, you're coming back because you fit in, because you liked it. This is the place you enjoyed the most. So you're going to be a great member for me. You're going to be a lifelong member probably.
Yeah. Do you know what your LTV on people is? Like, how long people stay with you when they get in on average?
I don't have that number.
That'd be a hope question, huh?
Yeah, that would be a hope question for sure. She probably knows that.
Well, I mean, because
Um,
you're saying lifelong members. I mean, to me, it seems like a lot of. There's even a member from my old gym at your gym now.
oh yeah.
Yeah, super solid guy. Very
Hmm.
smart.
Very
Really,
smart.
really cool dude that I used to work out with a ton a few years ago.
Hmm.
And he loves it over there, man. I don't know if you know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't want to
Yeah.
throw his name
No,
out
I
here,
do.
but
I'm like,
he's a very
yeah.
solid guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude. And he's one of those guys that like he's not gonna knock the gym he was at, but like he enjoys what we do better than what
Mhm.
he was doing over there.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think I have a couple of members, ex-members that are over there now. I have a couple of ex-members that are at another gym. And guess what? I've picked up members from those other gyms. We trade members,
Yeah.
but that's fine. Like if you're not fitting in somewhere and you fit in somewhere else better, dude, that's cool. Like
Yeah. It's about
like I
finding a
would rather
home.
have do what?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd rather have members that are like happy and
Mhm.
having a good time and fit in than are over there like grumping because they're not enjoying something. It's like you can tell. Like I think energy is so important in the gym, and it can't all come from the coach. Like it can't all come from up front, or that like you can do a part of that. You can help so much and just being positive and not like this workout's gonna suck. Like that guy. Like I've seen coaches like that. They're like, all right, guys, get ready. This is gonna suck. Like I try my hardest to never be like, this workout's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna kill you. Like I'm always like, all right, it's not that bad. And they make fun of me because that's like my they say that's my like giveaway for that the workout is terrible. When I say, oh, it's not that bad, they're like, oh no, it's gonna be bad. But I forgot where I was going with that. But
Dude, all
anyways,
good.
I
All,
think it's
all
do what?
all I was saying was when we kind of started and stopped at the same time a couple times there, was that you just got to find your home, dude. You just got to
Mm-hmm.
find where you feel like you fit in, where that energy is something that you're looking for, where you around people that you feel are like minded or are like go very similarly goal oriented, right? Or in a
Yeah.
position where you're maybe not the fittest in the gym, but you're also not necessarily the most newbie in the gym, because that's not a
Mm-hmm.
super comfortable position to be on either side.
Yeah, and I know like I think that's been something that's helped us too. I think it's probably hurt us in a couple of situations too, but I think it's helped us is having very good athletes here because people come in and they're like, man, like I want to be like that. I want to be like them. And so they work hard to try to get there. I think you get some ego sometimes that get slapped around by some of our girls, and then they're like, oh, I think I'm gonna go somewhere else. I think that's definitely happened a few times because I've got some really freaking fit girls here, and I think that's bruised some egos before, especially of some dudes.
I'm
But
sure.
you know, especially when Sydney's around, I think they look at her and they're like, oh, like she's
Yeah.
strong. Like, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that even that have been doing CrossFit for years that I'm sorry, you're just not like, even where she's at right now, you're not going to beat her. I don't know what to tell you. I
No,
don't know what to tell you.
there's a genetic component to that, man. Like there
Yeah.
is. Like there's a genetic component. There's an age. There's so many components to actually being good at CrossFit that people
Mm.
don't consider. Like if you're looking at it from a competitive standpoint, like I could sit here and break down all day. Like there's a ton of things that go into if someone's a good athlete or not. You can't just pull any random person off the street and make them a games athlete. Like you can't. You might get lucky. You might pull a guy that's a ex Division I athlete. You might just
Mhm.
randomly pick someone and they're ex Division I athlete and they're 21 years old and they have a background in other sports and stuff and move really well and they don't have any mobility restrictions and you can turn them into an athlete. But chances are, if I just go randomly pick some guy from Walmart, no matter what you do, you're not turning them into a games athlete.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of genetics and all of that, I mean, why do you think someone like perhaps Ryan Fisher didn't last?
Anger problems.
With yelling at the judge? What was
Yeah.
that note?
I don't know, man. I liked
Oh
Ryan. I
man.
actually used to love Ryan Fisher. He was one of my favorites because he was a small dude. I don't know what stopped him, man. I think if he had stuck it out a couple more years, I think he would have made the games. I think if he had really stuck it out, but I think he came so close a couple of times. Really kind of had those run-ins with the judges and Castro and all that stuff, and I think he just realized like he'd rather make money
Mhm.
than be an athlete. And
And he's
you
doing
know,
fine now. He's
oh dude,
doing
he's doing great.
Chalk Performance is doing fine.
They're doing awesome. So good for him. Like You know, do I think he could have probably dedicated more time to being an athlete and less to chalk and probably eventually ended up making it? Yeah. Heck yeah. I mean, dude's a freak. He's a phenomenal athlete. Dude's lifting numbers were insane. And he weighed like 165 pounds, probably 170 pounds. He's like, I think he's like 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah,
The
dude.
little guy.
He's still doing a lot of single leg work at the same weight that people are doing 2-leg work, and he's bone on bone in his knee.
Yeah.
And he's still moving weight that most people are doing with 2 legs, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a freaking monster. But yeah, I think with him, I think he had everything he needed. I think he had the genetics. I think he had the perfect setup. And he also was around at a time when he really could have succeeded. I think, like I said, stuck it out a couple more years, but you know, I think he made the right call because he seems like he's, you know, giving it up, like gave him a better, like better mental health probably. And being able to focus on his business and do that. I mean, you never know. Like social media is, you never know how happy somebody really is, but he gives off a vibe like he's, you know, like he enjoys life.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
We won't know unless you're close homies with them. I'm not. So I just know that Chalk is blown up. Right.
Oh yeah.
And he's got, I mean, it seems from me following him and what he's posting and what he's communicating, and even just like the raw takes, seems like he's loving life. Again, you never know, but I mean, I guess it all worked out for him in the end, you know, not the games, but hell, he's got a training platform that he pushes out through Wodify that a lot of people love.
Yeah.
A lot of people love for sure.
I'd be curious how many people they have. I mean, it's got to be.
It's ridiculous.
Pretty substantial.
Their map, you know, because do you use Wodify or do you use SugarWod? Or?
We use SugarWod.
Okay, in Wodify, you can go and like, you know, everyone puts in their location. I'm sure you can do this on SugarWod too. But if you go look at their map, dude, like their color is blue in there, dude, all over the world, right? Tons in North America, tons of Europe. It's kind of ridiculous. But it's been what, like he was trying to go on track to the game. Was that like 09? So he's been in this for a minute. Yeah. Was that minute 9 or 10? It's like over 10 years. Over 10 years.
He was still competing. He was still competing when I started. So like 2013, 14, I think he was still competing then.
Yeah, maybe splitting time.
I think one of those years might have been the year when he like threatened the judge.
Yeah, I thought that was earlier than 13, but maybe it was 13.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
I just know that clip is still around to this day.
Oh yeah, for sure. The best part is not even him threatening the judge. The best part is Dave Castro, like just freaking laying into him like he's a toddler. I mean, Castro goes off of him and like makes him apologize, like talks to Ryan like he's a little kid. And I was like, oof.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Castro is also cut from a little bit different of a cloth than some of these athletes are, being a SEAL and a lot of other stuff prior to CrossFit. So kind of fascinating there. But on the programming side, man, so you were in the gym and so you're coaching, you took it over. Well, I mean, you're running it from the jump, but when did you start taking over the programming? When did you start writing? How did Mad Hatter come about? Like, how long has that been a thing?
So I started doing programming off and on when I was at actually my first gym. I just kind of dabbled in it back at Carrollton. I dabbled in a little bit. Me and one of the other guys there, we would kind of take turns writing stuff. Had no clue what we were doing. Like if anybody from CrossFit Carrollton back in the day is listening to this, like I'm sorry for any of the bullshit workouts that I had you do. It probably almost killed you because back then it was like the old school mentality of like, how hard can we make this? Just terrible. There was no rhyme or reason to like half the stuff we did, but it taught me lessons. It taught me how to program better by doing a lot of stuff wrong. So I programmed a little there. I programmed a little bit at the second gym I was at, CrossFit Unscaled. And then I would go through phases where I would program for myself. And then I'd go through phases where I'd follow Invictus or Misfit or, you know, some of the other major programming. But I think I followed Misfit the longest, learned a lot. I thought their programming is actually, back when I was doing it, was pretty phenomenal. They did an outstanding job of giving you lots of stuff to do, but like kind of encouraging you to not do all of it. Just pick like kind of weaknesses and things like that to work on. I thought that was really cool. They always had like, you know, extra aerobic, they called it bitch work. So you had like the extra aerobic pieces or like really hard bike and stuff like that. They had extra lifting stuff, extra gymnastics. So you could kind of pick and choose what you needed based on your weaknesses after you would do like probably a Metcon or strength. And I kind of emulate that a little bit. I definitely pull a lot from what I learned from doing their programming for so long. But then I also pull stuff from other people and from other, you know, just strength and conditioning methodologies. But what was the question? Oh, where did I start with this? So then fast forward to me opening the gym, and we started out actually following Misfit here, did that for a few years, got tired of it as a gym, and we switched to I think it was American Muscle Athletics or something for like 6 months, and I hated it.
What is that? Who wrote that?
It was God. What's the guy? The guy that does it is
Spieler?
super. No. It's a super famous Ollie lifter. God, what's his name? Oh, he was so strong. He's the one that like ripped his shirt off at an Ollie meet one time. I can't remember who he was, but
I only
super
really
famous
know
guy.
Sony Webster and
No, it wasn't him.
the
This is
Russian
American.
The Russian dude.
Oh,
Those are the only two
Klokov.
that
Klokov.
those are the only two that I know. Yeah.
I can't remember this guy's name. I want to say it was Jared, not Jared Enderton. It was Jared something. And it wasn't bad program. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. I just did not enjoy what they were doing. And I don't think my members did either. And I was just like, all right, we got to do something different. And I was like, I can do a better job. And so I was like, well, I'm having problems finding a program that fits. So why not just make what I want so that I know it fits? And I started doing it, and it's just progressively gotten better and better. So I think I've been doing it for like 3 years now. And then I started programming for other people. Like, so we've had a couple of girls go to semi. So I started doing like additional programming on top of our class stuff for them. So my rule still like at our gym is like, you do class. Like, I don't care if you're a semifinal athlete, like you come in, you do class, and then you can do extra stuff after, whether I program it, whether you're getting it from Misfit or whoever else, but you do class first. Just for the community sake of things. And like I said earlier, like if you write effective programming, people can do it and get something out of it. I don't care if you're a semifinal games athlete. Like if you come in and you do our programming like it's written, like you're going to get something out of it. It's hard. Like it is challenging. It's going to challenge you. You are going to get more metabolically fit. You are going to get stronger with what we're doing. So about 3 years now, I guess I've been doing our programming. And then I just one day was like, you know what? Like I need to put this out there. Like people could use it. Somebody might like it. I'm like, if I get 1 client or 20 clients or 1,000 clients, like I'm doing this for my gym. So I might as well give people the opportunity to jump on. So like I have our programming, and I'm offering it up for other affiliates. Like if they want something different, they want something, you know, like I said, very well thought out. We base our programming off of the open season. I just think that whether you're here for sport or whether you're here for just general preparedness, I think having something to train for and something to look at the end of the season is great. So I think you can use the open to kind of reassess everything, and then you build up through that. And I think you can keep people very safe by periodizing your training, like a strength and conditioning program would. So a lot of what we do is, like I said, periodizing the year so that like starting in April, we'll be doing a more functional bodybuilding-esque style of training for about 6 weeks. So basically the goal is more hypertrophy work, building up your joints, building up tendon strength, things like that, so that we can stay safe for the year versus just like slamming a barbell, you know, all year round, or slamming heavy back squats. So we're going to be doing like some tempo box squats. We're going to be doing dumbbell incline press, things like that. Like I said, again, on a tempo. So they're slower, they're controlled. We're going to encourage people to basically build muscle, to repair muscle tissue. So that's like 6 weeks. And then we'll go into like a strength or power phase. And like I said, I've got a whole game plan for this year written out that is basically developed to get you all the way to the open and be as fit as possible for the open. And then you'll start over the next year. And again, I think a lot of gyms don't do that. And I think you're putting people at a greater risk for injury by not doing that, because you're not probably taking the time through the year to even back off your grandmother or your mom or your 50, 60-year-old clients. You're not taking the time through the year to back them off and say, hey, let's focus on the small things. I don't think general CrossFit programming does not do that enough.
Surely main site doesn't do it.
That's funny. I've had somebody text me about main sites programming, and they send me clips of it all the time. And it just some of it I look at and I'm like I don't know about that. Like I wouldn't want to pay money to go to a gym where I was doing that. Like, and that's the way I think about it too. Like I wouldn't want to pay money if that's what was going on at the box I was going to. I mean,
yeah, if you were just following what the website says.
yeah, like I get it. It's for some people, but not me. Like I would not enjoy walking into a gym and be like, all right, we're going to warm up and do thrusters and pull-ups for 27 minutes today. We're going to do some primers and then we're going to do Fran. And that's your workout. Like, man, like I get it. Like I understand where they're going with that. Like you have time to teach pull-ups and skill development, but I think you leave a lot of your higher level athletes out, if that's like, I'm not going to enjoy that class. Like you would have to do a lot to really make me enjoy a class where Fran's the workout. And that's all we're doing. There's no lifting. There's no, like, I don't know. Like it's a 2-minute workout, bro. Like I'm going to walk away not feeling like I got what I needed.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of these gyms are programming to lowest common denominator instead of your highest, like the highest athletes, and then letting everyone else regress, or writing tracks where you have something that does fit to everyone, like you're talking about, like RX up, and then scale. I mean, legitimately having, and you call your scale masters because you just program it based on the masters.
But anybody can do it, of course. Like it's like you might be 20 years old, but the masters workout looks good. You do it,
Yeah.
It's I don't understand it. Or maybe I understand. I can't say I don't. I understand. I understand where they're coming from. I understand why gyms do that. I just don't agree with it. For my gym, I don't think it works for us. I think the way we do it is very effective and could be very freaking effective for a lot of gyms out there. Whether you want programming from me and Matt Hatters, or whether you just want to take some of the ideas that I have and try them yourself. Like I think go for it. I think doing some stuff like that and giving people goals. Like how many gyms don't program muscle ups? Like,
I mean, we didn't program muscle ups. Like I would have to tell like there's a few athletes over at Brookhaven when I was there, and 2 of the 3 of them are coaches, that when we would have chest to bar, like certain workouts, I'm like, that was actually written as muscle ups. You need to do muscle ups instead. But everyone else, no.
And that's not like,
it's not the most effective way to do it.
Yeah. Some people are like, oh, that's the coach's responsibility to scale things up for people. And I'm like, why not just have it on the board? Like just have it out there as an option. Like, and it's like, well, it'll demoralize people because, most of them can't do it. And it's like, okay. Or instead of demoralizing them, it could encourage someone. It could encourage someone to want to do that and work harder to get there.
Yeah. You got to be careful with that logic, though. You got to be really careful with that logic of like, oh, it's going to demoralize someone. Like, okay, Jake without his shirt on is going to demoralize someone that's 400 pounds, right? Like, I mean, like, how far do we really want to take that? Because I get that, like, maybe you don't want to do an extreme weight loss challenge inside of your gym where you're promoting like an aggressive caloric deficit to drop 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Okay, I get that, right? Maybe there's going to be some pushback from some people. But just promoting health and wellness and not wanting to do that, or not wanting to promote people progressing no matter where they're starting from, to me, I think is bullshit.
Well, I find that most people love it. Like most people freaking love watching the competitive athletes. Like most of our members, like, dude, when we do the open and we do stuff like that, when Sydney was going, or my fiance Mel, when she was working out, like, bro, they're like freaking fixed on them. Like they love that. They love watching those people. And, sometimes maybe it takes away from the other people a little bit, but it's cool to let those people shine. And people freaking thoroughly enjoy watching. Like, dude, this place was so freaking hyped. Like Sydney hit, I think 225 on that thruster. And then Mel like still hit like what did she hit? I think she hit 175 or 185, which is a freaking stupid heavy weight for a girl. Like still, like Mel hit Sydney hit the like top of the top, like games level shit, but you've still got like another girl in there just crushing. And the people are watching these 2 girls beside each other going. And like that gym is so freaking hyped over that, and it's cool to see that. And you can see that people are inspired by that. And they're like, man, like I want to be like them, or I want to do the best I can. I mean, be like them, but it's like, I want to do the best I can because I see them giving it their all. I see them doing the best they can. And I think that's a cool thing to have. And I think when you don't program for those people, you just completely take that out of your gym, because those members aren't going to join. They're going to quit, or they're, they're not gonna shine.
Yeah. I mean, we had a few people that would come in that were like, dude, I would say that they were sizable enough to sweep the floor at local competitions, right?
Mhm.
Like they were that fit, like cold, snatching over 200 cold, like squat snatching over 200 cold, chilling, like just boulders. A few dudes that came in a more than a handful of times, but didn't stay. Why?
Mhm.
Because not a single time in 2 weeks did we have muscle ups programmed. Not a single time did we have a snatch that was like over 185 ever in a workout for anything, right? Outside of you just progressing yourself. Like we didn't have high quantities of double unders, right? We're like, how many double unders can you do in a row? Like cold right now, if you had to go out there, life dependent on it, gun to head, how many you think you could do in a row? You personally?
Oh, cold right now after doing the crossovers and quarters, not a lot. My calves would probably cramp up.
Yeah, like outside of that though.
but
Like
outside of
you
that,
didn't have quarters, yeah.
outside of that, I'd at least get 100. I mean, like,
Yeah. Okay.
at
So
least 100. Like 100 would be like low end. Like I probably just tired and tripped up.
yeah, and so
200 with
that's
225 high end.
what I'm saying. Like if it takes 100 to 200 unbroken for you to get tripped up, somewhere over 100, then why the hell would you want to be doing a workout that is 25 or 35 minutes, an AMRAP with like sets of 20 in between other exercises? Like that to me, for someone that's very new to double unders, wonderful stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Right? You're going to do much better. You're going to start trying to cycle. Here we go. But for somebody that can do 10 times that unbroken regularly, that becomes
like
boring.
I'm wasting time picking up the rope.
You're transitioning,
Like
wasting way too much
just
time.
like, okay, because in 20, I'm literally gonna, through 20 reps, I'm gonna recover. Through 20 reps, my heart rate's probably dropping. So
yeah.
I mean,
and that's that exact problem that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You can't just have a gym that has like, what are all those people supposed to do? You're supposed to just do a completely different workout?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
like, are we serious?
yeah.
You can't really have in my mind. That's why I think we see a lot of gyms where you have either gyms are hyper competitive, right? And the culture is probably not where yours is at, or they're hyper non-competitive. And then it deters everyone away that's at your level or somewhere around, because why would you jump in there if there's never going to be a workout that's even going to push you? Like you're going to have to do workouts on your own, pay a full membership to go into another gym to do workouts on your own without the class to be pushed.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I think going back to like the double under thing you were talking about, I think by programming like different levels, like what we do, you take a huge burden off of the coach. And like, yes, you want great coaches. You want coaches that can adapt things on the fly and boom. And you know what? Some days they might need to help every person in that class, all 10 or 15 people, make a different workout. They might have to. But let's minimize that as much as possible so that they can spend more time coaching other things, and so that your clients can get more value versus like having to go to every person and say, hey, okay, what are you going to do today? You got to do X, Y, and Z. Are you got to do this. You got to do this. And it's like, that's good. And a coach should be able to do that, but you should not have to do that every day. Mm-hmm. You should have the majority of your members fitting in one of those three boxes. And then you're going, and most of my members, I don't even have to say anything to. They know. Every once in a while, they'll come up to me and ask me. They'll be like, hey, Jake, like 135 is going to be heavy on those snatches. I think 95 is a little bit light for masters. Like, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, yeah, go 115. Like 115 is a good weight for you. Like, or a lot of times I'll give people a percentage. I'll say like, hey, you know, this weight today should be somewhere between 60, 70% of your 1RM. If it's over that, like, go lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that there's definitely something to look at, maybe in the mirror with your thumb, not your pointer finger. If day over day, the majority of your classes have to change something on the board. Mm-hmm. Like if they don't have somewhere that they can just slide into, the majority of people, not everyone, mm-hmm. but 65 to 70% of the people can't just slide into somewhere and then maybe make a progression or a regression mm-hmm. of one thing, then it probably comes back to your coaching, right? And mm-hmm. that comes back to who's writing the programming. Because I'll tell you right now, I didn't own the damn gym that I was head coaching at, but I don't want to every single class, every single day, have to make 15 corrections to the programming mm-hmm. so that people can get a workout. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool when your clients get comfortable enough with you that it's like they know what they're doing and they come ask you like, it's not this like, hey, like, what should I do in this workout today? It's not this, hey, tell me everything. It's just like, hey, like, I'm good on X, Y, and Z. What's a good weight for me? Or like, hey, like those double unders today, like 60 unbroken, man, like that's a lot for me. What should I do? I'm like, oh, cool. Let's just cut that down to 30 or let's do 40. Or hey, do 40 seconds of attempts, you know, like, or whatever the time frame you think that's going to take. Give them that number of attempts. Like, there's ways to handle this. And it's awesome when your members feel comfortable enough to like come up and ask those specific questions, because it makes your life easier, because they're asking something very specific and you're not having to like get a whiteboard out and like completely create a whole new workout for them. And don't get me wrong, that happens. And there's a good reason for that sometimes. Like if you have a member with an injury, and like today we had a lot of upper body work. And if I have somebody with an upper body injury, all right, well, give me the whiteboard. We got to give you something different.
Yeah. And that's fair. You know, you maybe lean on a different type of, a different modality. If someone's like really, like they've got shoulder impingements and you're trying to go overhead, like you have to do that. But I think that there's a bigger problem in the vicinity if everyone has to change up everything every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely a problem.
And you see that at gyms, you know, you see where it's like every person's doing something completely freaking different. It's like why are you doing CrossFit? Like, because it's like part of the beauty of CrossFit is like the comparison. And it's like people get caught up in that too much sometimes. They get too competitive with that. But part of the beauty is, to me, the comparison. Like a lot of my masters guys do it. They do it the best, I will say. Like sometimes a lot of my like RXers and competitive like comp athletes, like they get a little boom, like they're trying to beat each other. My masters guys are freaking great. They like walk in and they're like, all right, cool. We got running, we got double unders, we got burpees today. And they look around, they're like, well, so-and-so is probably going to win this one. So I'm just going to do my best to try to keep up with them. And I'm like, that's freaking great. Like, that's how we should approach this. Look, like, you know, who's good and who's bad at what. Use them to push you. It's not a like, I have to win, but it's like, use them to motivate and push you to be a better athlete and to be just more fit. And that's so cool to see when people do that the right way.
Yeah, not a wham, but a, oh man, they're really good at this. So if I can keep pace for the first half of this workout, or if I can push through here, but then keep pace rep for rep on the second part of this workout, I know that I'll do really well on this, because I know that they know what the heck they're doing. Yeah. So let me strive to maybe try to do that. I don't have the same weight, but let me try to match pace, because if I can match pace, I'm going to get better today.
Yep. My buddy Chase, that he was one of our quarterfinals athletes, super freaking good athlete. Like honestly, like CrossFit, like taking CrossFit out of it, like just athletically, he is one of the most athletic guys I have ever met in my life. I grew up with him. We went to high school together. He was a 2-time state champ wrestler, went to college, played football in college, like just a freaking stud of an athlete. And Chase works out here with us, and me and him, dude, it's like I look at a workout one day and it's like he's a 200-pound guy, and like we got biking and barbell, and I'm like, all right, bro, like I just got to keep up. I got to do my best to try to hang. And then the next day, you know, we got like double unders and pull-ups or muscle ups, and it's like, okay, then he's looking at me like, all right, how do I keep up with Jake on this? Yeah. And dude, when you can find that, like, man, like it makes you so much better of an athlete, number one. And when you do it the right way, like it's so freaking fun when you can do it the right way and not get caught up in the like, I have to win, and you can do it to use each other to make each other better and lose the ego. Man, like it makes everything just amazing.
Different story.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time here though. And so I want to dive into just a few more things around what y'all do at the gym, and then we'll let you go, because I know you got classes coming up here soon and whatnot. You spoke a lot about results, and you talked about nutrition. Now what, like, I think, and I love your response to this before we dive into kind of what y'all do. I think personally, this is James Gillespie's personal opinion, that CrossFit does nutrition fucking terribly. I think they do it absolutely atrocious. Yeah. And I think that, you know, the 100 words, like CrossFit in 100 words, I think that there's a lot of stuff in there like I'm not here for, dude. I'm not here for. Like, first and foremost, before we dive into what y'all do, like, thoughts on that?
Okay, so I don't think it's bad what they're teaching. I think it depends on who's getting that message. Mel and I had this conversation the other day of how you have to treat different clients differently, and how different clients need different things. Dude, so like the old school, like we'll just call it paleo, like what CrossFit technically preached was pretty much paleo.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to work for some people. And some people can live their life doing that. And that is a perfect diet. And that's all you need to tell them, go do it. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. But that's not going to work for everyone. And I think that is where CrossFit goes wrong, is that they need to have a broader perspective of what I just said, is it's not going to work for everyone. Some people need to count macros. Some people need to learn to count macros, then they can stop counting and just eat intuitively. Some people are going to have to count macros for just about the rest of their life, because if they don't, they're not going to be able to do it intuitively. We teach a plate method here. That's usually a starting point for us with a lot of people, which is take a plate. Half that plate is leafy vegetables, greens, any kind of green veggie, basically, non-starchy veggies. So half of your plate is freaking vegetables. A quarter of your plate is starchy carbs, can be whatever you want, rice, potatoes. Quarter of your plate, and then a quarter of your plate is meat. And we found that is a great starting place for a lot of people. And then you can dive into macro counting. You can dive into things after that. But, whether it's paleo, whether it's plate method, like something that gets people rolling, gets them started, moving in the right direction, eating healthier, better for you foods is a great starting place. And it's not a one size fits all approach, and that's why we have nutrition coaches. And that's what some people don't understand. They're like, why is this expensive? Why is nutrition coaching cost so much? And we're like, well, they have to work with you. They have to spend hours of their time, and in the grand scheme of things, like the amount of time they're putting in, you're probably paying them like $20 an hour for the amount of time they're actually putting in for you. It's like, if a nutrition coach charges $200 a month, you're saying, what is that? 8 hours? You're saying they put 8 hours of work in for $25, which, like most people are making more money than that.
Yeah. And it's interesting that y'all go kind of plate method. We do something very similar at TruCapacity. I mean, it's like where we start everyone off. And obviously we dial up and down protein intake, right? Depending on somebody's goal and where you're at. And like, I don't need a woman that's 255 pounds to eat 255 grams of protein. I mean, most of them are eating like 40. So like manageable bite-sized pieces to get us to where we need to go. But it's interesting because we go kind of the same, basically protein palm, right? Leafy and green, right? Veggie at every single meal. And then carbs still fist. And then we just switch out starchy carb at night for just some fat, either cooking in some more tallow or something else, or adding some avocado or what have you. Really tried not to go high fat for the breakfast and lunch, but that's literally how we start basically everyone. But just like you're saying, when you start to get into, hey, Coach Jake, I want to be, I want to be 15 pounds lighter in 8 weeks. But I'm only willing to come to the gym twice a week. And so like, get me there. Dude, are you serious? Like, can it happen? Yes.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to happen out there on your own. It ain't going to happen, because if you could have done it, you would have already.
Yeah. So I think the biggest issue that I've come across in the last few years, me and Hope, my manager, is also one of our nutrition coaches. So we've had this conversation.
Hope and Mel, or it's you, Hope?
Yeah, Hope, Mel, and then Caitlin. I don't do nutrition coaching. Okay. No. I know what I'm talking. Caitlin. Yeah, Caitlin. So we've got 3. I don't do nutrition coaching. No, because I will yell at someone. I will just be like, stop eating the freaking donuts. And then I won't have.
They have a little bit more empathy than you do. It sounds.
They're a lot nicer than me. A lot nicer when it comes to that. I'm a very nice guy in the CrossFit setting, like out there in the gym and coaching. Man, I have a good time, and I'm never mean hardly.
But the nutrition,
dude, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do somebody coming in and be like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm like, well, I know what you're doing wrong. You're eating more food than you're burning. That's that simple. Like it's math, bro.
Yeah.
But going to that, I think that's what the vast majority of people are doing wrong. Is it's not always necessarily just how much food they're eating, it's their activity level. And they're like, well, I come to the gym 5 days a week. I'm like, what else do you do? And they're like, well, I work. Well, where do you work? I work at Google, or I work at, wherever. Do you sit? Yeah. How much do you get up? Never. I'm like, so for 8-10 hours of your day, you do not freaking move at all. So the only movement you are getting is in the gym, is that 1 hour in the gym. And then they go, like, people find these calorie calculators and things online. And what's the first thing they do? Like, activity level. What does everybody check? They check like high activity level because they do CrossFit for an hour a day. It's like,
one too high. They always go 1 or 2 too high.
Yes, always.
Underestimate.
Yes.
Pull down,
yes.
not up.
They're always like, yeah, I'm super active. I'm like, bro, Like you hadn't left the couch in 3 days except to come to the gym. Like that's not active. And I think that's even more so than the nutrition. It's like, dude, get up, just move, just walk.
Yeah.
You know, that's a conscious effort Mel and I have made over the last probably month or so. Is on Sundays, her and I, that's like our like chill day. And like we don't do anything. And you know, I looked at her and I'm like, let's get up and go for a walk. Like let's just walk. So we've started like we'll walk for about an hour on Sundays. And you know, like I feel like my body just freaking feels so much better from getting up and moving for a few hours out in the sunlight, getting that vitamin D versus sitting on my butt in the house watching TV all day. And as much as like I need to recover and rest, like that walk is not gonna. If anything, it's actually facilitating better recovery.
Yeah,
and it's burning calories.
It's fascinating. Like the cutoff for lowering cardiovascular disease is like 7,000 steps a day. It's like anyone that's chilling, right, under 7,000 steps a day, like you're not giving yourself that great of a chance to stave off the things that you're trying to work out to stave off. Right? You're trying to move to stave off. Like you're not giving yourself a very good chance. What is the longest Metcon or workout post warm up, pre cool down, after strength? What's the longest thing y'all do in the gym?
Our Thursdays, we do like a conditioning day, probably 40 minutes.
Okay. 40 minutes at max. And people think they're active.
It's once a week. Yeah. And that's once a week.
And that's assuming that someone also is still coming 5 days in a row, Monday through Friday. And you get 1 day where you're doing extra conditioning. And then you're not walking anywhere. Are we serious?
Yep. You know, it's just the little things. I think overall with nutrition, I think what people have to realize is it's the little things that just add up over time, or sometimes the big things that can add up all at once. So it's like the walking, dude. If you just walk a little bit more, just get your 7,000, your 10,000, get your steps in every day. Get those steps in. Like, guess what? Your nutrition, like if it's even decent, you're gonna start to see some results from that, like just by moving a little more. And then on the flip side of that is like when it comes to eating. It's like people don't understand how easy it is to screw up what you've done all week in one meal. Like this is a conversation I have with people all the time. They're like, I'm eating great. I'm doing awesome. Like I'm just not losing weight. And I'm like, okay, like let's look at what you're doing. And they're like, they're doing great. I'm like, all right, Saturday. I don't really see anything here. Like, what are you doing on Saturdays? I'm like, well, you know, I don't really track that day. You know, football's on and, you know, just kind of eating. And I'm like, okay, let's just say you're in a 200 calorie deficit every day, or 200 calorie deficit every day, 6 days a week. It's 1,200 calories. You're at a 1,200 calorie deficit on the week. Saturday rolls around. You can eat that, make up that 1,200 calories in about 15 minutes. You know, eat a whole pizza. There you go. You have negated all the good you did all week by eating that pizza. And I'm not saying you can't have pizza. Have a slice of pizza, not the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Or somebody walking into Chick-fil-A and getting a milkshake that they think is 200 calories when it's 1,800. 1,800, dude. Are we serious? Can you eat that if you want? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not stopping you. But if you want fat loss, it's probably not the most efficient way to get there.
No. It's like I think that one of the craziest things are like the Starbucks drinks people eat.
You like milkshakes, not coffee.
Like I legitimately had people like tell me, and I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, I don't know how they're not losing weight. I'm looking at stuff. I'm like, golly, like what they're telling me. I'm like, I don't know. Are you broken? Like what's going on here? Like if this is what you're eating, you should be losing weight. I'm like trying to find it. And I'm like, they've got coffee. I'm like, where'd you get coffee? And they're like, Starbucks. What's in it? And they're like, oh, there it is. There's the extra 600 calories a day you're eating right there. That's not coffee. That's a milkshake.
Yeah.
You know.
Actually, Ryan Fisher posted that the other day. It was hilarious. He's like posted a picture of like 4 Frappuccinos and was like, if this is your coffee, you don't like coffee. You like milkshakes.
It's like, bro, black coffee. Like, learn to like it. Give it a chance. You just give it a chance. Eventually, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to be a psychotic individual and do that, you can drop in like. Dude, like a little bit of cream is not going to hurt somebody. Now, there's a big difference between a tablespoon and a half a liter.
This is turning it up and not paying attention as you put it in there.
There's such a big difference. But the same thing with peanut butter, right? Like a regular tablespoon is pretty uninspiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
A rolled tablespoon that is like 2.5 servings,
Oh
much
yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I eat so much peanut butter. Golly, I
I
love
also
it.
work out a ton, so it's a little bit different.
What was the other? With the coffee, one thing people can do, and this is what Mel does. Mel throws protein powder in hers.
Yep.
She throws a scoop of protein powder in the day. So, because she
Yep.
doesn't like black coffee, she throws that scoop of protein in there, blends it up really well, and boom, there you go. You've got a frappuccino. You know, throw vanilla or chocolate or whatever. You've got a mocha frappuccino. Tastes delicious. And guess what? You're getting straight freaking protein first thing in the morning versus, 60 grams of sugar.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the sodas too. I mean, regular soda, 65 grams of sugar, right?
Yeah.
And a regular frappuccino, 60 to 80 grams of sugar. Same thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
is that the end of the world on calories? No, but when you're not accounting for it, it definitely adds up.
We talk about this sometimes. I'm curious your thoughts on like regular versus diet soda. Like, what's your thought there? Like,
that erythritol, aspartame, and everything else is not going to kill you, no matter how much anyone wants to say. I mean, I did a 3-hour podcast with a registered dietitian that's a PhD in nutritional sciences, and we went deep on that specifically. I mean, if I'm going to drink a soda, I'm going to drink a 0 sugar, and I'm fine drinking erythritol all day instead of drinking 65 grams of sugar in one sitting.
Yep.
All day. Now, would I recommend that you start in any format necessarily trying to drink soda every single day? I wouldn't say so. But if you're going to have it, I would rather say, man, I don't want to go ahead and yank 355 calories out of one drink.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I'm with you. That's where I'm at. Like, I'll pop a Coke Zero every once in a while. Be in the grocery store, be a little tired on a Saturday. Be like, man,
Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Like, dude, I mean, I'm not against it. And the funny thing is that a lot of people in our industry, right, in general, a lot of coaches love to look down on that and like try to shame hard. Like, homies, you same people that are shaming for my Diet Coke are the same people that are blasting beers on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, those beers are natural though, bro. That's natural. Natural.
Each down a lot, baby. It's very interesting. I think there's a lot that we can do as practitioners inside to destigmatize a lot of things, and then also just provide a space the same way that you're trying to provide the space for your damn community and Shakerag. Like the same thing with nutrition, right? We can do the same thing and have some empathy. And if you're not an individual who wants to be empathetic, well then, there's somebody else at the gym that can help you out with that and go that direction, man.
Yeah, I think it's with the nutrition, it's like pick your battles. Like if you've got somebody and they like are drinking Diet Coke regularly, but they're doing 1,000 other things wrong, like why would you shame the Diet Coke? Like just let them have the freaking Diet Coke and let's fix something, anything else.
Yeah,
anything. There's a 20 fish you can bigger than that to fry. Don't worry about the freaking Diet Coke, bro. Like let that go.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you fix. You fix that last. Say okay, like we've got everything else great. You're looking good. You drink a lot of Diet Coke. Let's cut that back to 2 a day instead of 6. That's the last thing we're looking at.
But I mean, wouldn't you say, Jake, that comes back down to what's going to give you, like, what's the minimum effective dose that we can give you to get the maximum output, right? First, that's going to be steps, right? It's going to be protein, right? It's going to be then caloric intake. Well, and even before that, how's your sleep? How's your recovery, right? Are you mobile? Right. Like there's a lot of things. I don't care that you drank 2 to even 6 Diet Cokes a day. I mean, it's not advisable. I'm not going to tell you should do that. But if you have that, plus you're not walking, plus you're not sleeping, plus you're never getting to the gym, like there's other things that I can impact more change with you than trying to shame you into not drinking soda.
Yeah. The sleep thing kills me, man. Like just seeing how little some people sleep. Just like
little to none.
What are you doing? Like, how are you functioning? I can't function. If I'm getting less than 6, I'm not functioning.
Yeah.
Like it's not happening. Like I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be a zombie. I really need 8.
Like, sleep is.
I will
sleep
say
is
what's
something.
cool. What's cool about the sleep thing is I think there are some studies that actually show like how different people are with sleep and how like it is crazy how some people can like legitimately function at a high level on very low sleep. And then other people like need like 10 hours to function at like a normal baseline level. Like how our bodies are just so different. It's pretty cool.
It is definitely interesting. Well, dude, I really appreciate you being here, man. And I've really enjoyed this. I've got 2 questions that, that were submitted. So let me pull these back up. Let's see. All right. So one of them is, what is your least favorite thing about being a gym owner?
Oh gosh. That's hard. Least favorite thing. I think sometimes it's just the stress of constantly having to be a people person. I mean, you're constantly having to interact with people, and I'm a pretty like outgoing person, enjoy talking to people, but dude, like sometimes by Thursday, Friday, you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone. You coached all those classes, you know, you're talking to people after classes about, this and that, and trying to help them and trying to help everybody better. And sometimes that bucket just runs dry, and you're just like, man, like I need a break so that I could not talk to somebody for a few minutes. I think that's the worst of it, which is not that bad.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not that bad. If that is the pinnacle of the negative. And
And I
then the
think
other, go ahead.
I think being able to realize when that's coming and like knowing like, all right, dude, like I'm getting tired of people. Like I need to get out of town for a weekend. Like I think that's helpful. And knowing how to recharge, knowing how to get away and kind of recharge your batteries. I think I used to do terrible job of that. And now it's like, I see it coming. I'm like, all right. Like I talked to Mel. I was like, hey, we've had some stressful weeks. Let's get out of town. Me and you go up to Atlanta for a day, chill, come back, boom, feel 1,000 times better. Like, that's all it takes. Just like, but realizing it's coming and being able to get out and fix it before you like snap on someone for asking you like a legitimate question.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. No, I appreciate that. That's pretty straightforward. And then the other question that was submitted is, where do you think as a coach you can most improve?
As a coach? That's tough. Everything. I mean, there's always somewhere to improve and be better.
Yeah, that's a hell of a cop out. Give me something specific.
I know. I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think of a good specific example. Oh, that's tough. I'm definitely not perfect. I know that. Probably seeing sometimes. I think I am not the greatest seer always. I think a lot of people have a natural gift to watch somebody move and immediately just like boom, see what they're doing wrong. That has been a practice skill for me that I've had to learn over time, and I think I can always continually improve that. I think for me, I have to remind myself in a class setting to dial in and pay attention to one person, because I'll get overwhelmed. I think a lot of novice coaches doing this. I think a lot of experienced coaches do this. And if you're not conscious of it, you can get caught up in it. But if you've got 15 people in a room moving, sometimes you just step back and you're like, oh gosh, and you're trying to watch everyone for what they're doing wrong. It's like, no, pick one person, watch them, pick one thing, see if they're doing it or not doing it. If they're not doing it, give them a cue. If they are doing it, give them a good job, move to the next person. I definitely think that's something that if I'm not conscious, I completely will lose track of and have to remind myself, all right, dude, like you're doing a shitty job right now. You're overwhelmed by the people. Get back to one person at a time, fix something.
Okay. I like it. And when you say the seeing, I mean, you're really talking about diagnosing, like diagnosing movement patterns, potential for injury, that kind of thing, like getting better at just kind of prioritizing and executing, like boom, boom, boom. Okay. Rather than just like getting a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, I get a little ADD sometimes, and I'm kind of looking everywhere, and I'm like, crap, where was I? I think I'm really good at checking and looking for like injury things, like injury situations. Like I'm constantly scanning the room, looking like backsplat. Like, oh gosh, that person like looks like a cat. Like, all right, let's go fix that. Constantly looking for that, but I think sometimes you get so caught up in looking for the injury stuff, and you've got people moving well enough that that's not going on. You look and you're like, hey man, they're moving good. All right. And then you're like, crap, like I can fix something though. Yeah. You have to like shock yourself back into it. Okay, I can fix something. I can make them move better though. I can make them move more efficiently.
I like it. That's some self-awareness. Took you a second to think of something, but I appreciate you sharing, being willing to be vulnerable there a little bit, dude. And I really appreciate you making the time for this. I know you got class coming up, so we're going to let you go. Don't hop anywhere yet. I'm going to stop recording and we'll chit chat for a minute, but Thank you so much for making the time, man. And this will go out on TC's YouTube and on our on our Spotify and where everything is streaming wise. And I'm looking to put it out probably Monday, Tuesday of next week. So we'll be good to go from there.
Awesome, man. Well, let me know when it's all up and get it out to our members and stuff. I'm sure they'll enjoy to hear me chat.
Anything that you want to leave anyone that's listening with about where to find you, where to find your programming, where to find your gym, if they happen to be in Peaches, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So, CrossFit Shakerag's in Peachtree City, Georgia. If you're ever in town or if you're a current resident and you're looking for something different, come check us out. You can find us on Instagram, CrossFit Shakerag. My Instagram is Mad Hatters Coach, and then our Mad Hatters Athletic has its own page too. So give those things a follow, and let us know what you think about our stuff. If you've got programming questions or you're looking for programming remote coaching, you can reach out through my Instagrams.
Heck yeah. We'll link all those things in the show notes so that we're good to go there. And we'll go ahead and cut the recording there, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.